Hi everyone. So today I'm going over the tourism case. You can find the case and the files associated to it on Canvas under the Files folder Tourism Case, and I uploaded 5 files. Here's the data in JMP, Pro, and we have a guide PDF file, practice guide, which tells you when you're practicing what is expected to practice, and 2 sample articles which show you how a good report looks like and how you can work. And we have a codebook, and codebook explains the variables and how they are explaining how they are collected and how the questions on the survey are. Okay, so I start with the codebook, and before I explain the codebook, I would like to explain what this case is about. So this case is about tourism industry, and we have tourists coming to our city. So the manager, if you work for the city, or it can be data from state, it can be data from a country, but this data is specifically is for a city. So we have travelers coming to our city, and your manager in the city, they are interested to know how we can gain more from tourism industry. And of course, to have more tourists, you need to make sure that you have happy travelers or tourists, and you make sure that they become loyal tourists, they come back to our city, and also they share their experience with others, with friends, with family, share their pictures, videos online, and attract more tourists in the future. That's actually true for any business. You need customers to be loyal, you need customers to be happy first, and then they become loyal customers, and then they become they use word of mouth to bring the word to others, and that help us to expand our network of tourists and customers in any business that we are in. Okay, so it's important to understand how this data is collected. I did not put all the questions on the questionnaire, but for each variable I explained what type of questions we had. So for example, for transportation, this variable is scale, is a numerical interval ratio variable, and scales are from strongly disagree to strongly agree, 1 to 5. For transportation questions we asked from our customers, these questions are separate questions with the same scale, and let's say we have 5 questions regarding transportation. They ask about availability, quality of different transportation equipments, and it's not limited to train, bus, taxis, bicycle, etc. And for all of them we say this transportation was very good, so they say from strongly disagree to agree, and their answers are items or questions that we gave them. We can get the average of those answers, and the average of the answers estimate their rating for transportation from 1 to 5. Okay, same goes with the cleanliness. So cleanliness, this variable is a scale also. So we ask questions about public places, tourism attraction places, public transportation, airports, hotels, and the fact that they were clean or not. So we said they were very clean. Do they agree or disagree? And this continues the same for service quality. So this is how the codebook works. The codebook explains where the variables are coming from and what kind of questions we're asking, and of course what the scales are from 1 to 5. So we have service quality, we have variety of food, so we have travelers satisfaction here, and as I told you, traveler satisfaction or tourist satisfaction is the most important thing here. We want to make sure we have happy customers, happy travelers, and as a result, this traveler satisfaction become a DV. It's a response variable here. We want to control it. We want to increase it, and by increasing it, we can expect to have more tourists coming back to our city. Remember that tourism industry can gain any country and any city a lot of income, a lot of economically it helps growth of a city. Many countries, how much they make from tourism is 10 times than those countries who sell oil in the market, and they make a lot more from tourism compared to many rich countries that are just making money from oil. So this comparison shows the importance of tourism industry and the importance of tourist or traveler satisfaction. Okay, that's why this study is conducted. This data I'm providing to you is actually real data. It's from real data. I collected small sample from 30,000 data that we had, and of course I cleaned the data and make sure that there's no missing, there's no problem in the data. Okay, so this variable also is a scale, and it's from 1 to 5. And I told you, if a traveler, if a tourist is happy, satisfied with the experience they had by traveling to a city, what happens is they will come back. If they are satisfied, if they are happy, they will come back and they will spend more money, right? Other than that, so if they come back multiple times, that's what we mean by loyalty. They become loyal. So if they are happy, they will become loyal. So loyalty is a response variable for satisfaction. Loyalty can be a response for satisfaction, and there are a couple of articles backing this idea. Also, word of mouth. So after travelers are satisfied and happy and go back to their city or country, they start sharing their experience with others, and that is word of mouth. So if they liked it, if people see and hear about it, they will also like it, and they will come to our city, and that increases the network of our tourists. Okay? So more tourists coming to your city will help your businesses in the city to grow, will help your economical situation to grow by boosting businesses, by having more customers for all businesses, all types of businesses. You can have more employment, higher employment rate, because more people are involved in this area. You know that in Olympics, countries spend billions of dollars to have Olympic, but when Olympic starts, what happens is because of many tourists that go to that country, they make trillions of dollars. So again, this is a very important topic, and hope you like and you work on this data. That is a good experience to have. So loyalty and word of mouth is also another two variables. So you can read the details. And we also have some demographics here. Demographics we have are income. So we're going to see if what range of income we have coming to our city, right? And does income influence their satisfaction? We also have sex, male or female. We have age of travelers in years. There's a numerical. Income is numerical. Sex, education level, marital status are categorical. So education level, highest level of education achieved. And marital status, we have code 1 for single, code 2 for married, and 3 is for others. Okay, so we just have 3 codes here. And the main reason we decided to have this is because we had less from other categories, and to make them kind of equal, we put all those others into one category called tree. Okay. And how should we relate these in a network? So this is our diagram, network diagram. So traveler satisfaction is a DV, is a response for any other IVs. This is IV1, IV2, this is ... It can be, depends on how many variables are involved, up to IVK. So we just connect those that are significantly affecting traveler satisfaction. And we have two separate connections here, traveler satisfaction to loyalty and traveler satisfaction to word of mouth. So this can be a multiple regression. It can also be ANCOVA or ANOVA, and this can be one simple regression and one another simple regression model. Of course, we can run many other analysis here, and higher level analysis, of course, we did not discuss in this class, so we won't expect it, but you can also run some analysis for categorical variables we have here on sex, education level, and marital status. So that was your codebook. So let's close this and look at your guide. Okay, so the guidebook or practice guide PDF file explains what you should be doing. So you can see it saying this is optional assignment. You don't have to submit a report. I'm just trying to make sure provide you with some extra credit here. So I can encourage you to move forward, work on this data, and experience working with this type of data and writing a report. This is actually very close to what can happen if you become a state employee or city employee, okay, government employee. They just give you the data and they just ask you to analyze it. They normally won't give you any directions. They want you to analyze data and come up with some ideas for them. So this is an assignment practice, and it's not graded. You may get extra credit if after analysis of this data, you submit a report including multiple regression model, t-test, ANOVA, and ANCOVA, and interpret your results. So the goal is to provide suggestion to managers of the city to improve tourism satisfaction, and loyalty and word of mouth. And you're supposed to analyze which factors or combination of which factors have more influence on our tourism industry. So data, codebook, guideline, and some articles are provided under Canvas, Files, Tourism Case folder to help you understand how you can write the report. I will meet you on Zoom. So we already have met on Zoom, and I'm just recording this for students who couldn't attend that session. So late submission won't get extra credit. Your due date would be May 7th, 11:59 p.m. And your final work should include report, Word, and PowerPoint. So Word file is just to write your report. PowerPoint is you want to experience, if you want to present such work, how would it be, right? So the PowerPoint, the expectation is to have more graphs, maybe just tables of some results of numbers, and you should be able to explain your analysis and your understanding on the PowerPoint. So for the PowerPoint, when you want to present your results to your managers, they are normally they're not interested in details of statistics, and rather they just want to see some diagrams, some networks, some charts, bar charts, pie charts, histograms, and data that shows some maybe associations, and that's it. And then you explain how this data, how these results can help them to improve their tourism industry. Okay, so this is very important to have. Don't copy paste everything from Microsoft Word, but use the PowerPoint just for graphs, plots, charts, and tables. So use your Sakustate email if you want to send your report to me and your PowerPoints, and send it to this address because my Sakustate email has limited space. So this is the email you need to send it to, sakustaterad@gmail.com. I actually made that email just for students and student assignments. So analysis tools and methods, you should use all analysis tools that you learned in this class if they're applicable, okay? If they're not applicable, don't do it. Examples of things that are not applicable here. So I did not provide you enough data for time series. I did not provide data for logistic regression or chi-square test. So you can ignore those. But not limited to, descriptive statistics is important. That's why I highlighted it. Bar chart, pie chart, histograms should be there. Of course, we want to see some hypothesis tests such as t-test, ANOVA, ANCOVA, scatter plot matrix, correlation analysis, simple multiple correlation, chi-square, Cramer's V. Of course, chi-square, Cramer's V probably you won't be able to provide something, but simple and multiple regression. And of course, checking assumptions or conditions are also very important for us to see your results. Okay, so that was your guideline or guidebook. So let me close this and I show you sample of articles. So tourist satisfaction and loyalty towards service quality of online tourist enterprises. So that's a good example here. You can see there's a diagram. They have some hypothesis. They have their tables of average. They have this is regression results, and same. That's their regression equation after completing their analysis. Okay, so they wrote a lot of information here. You can check and learn what a good report looks like. We also have another one here. Empirical study of service quality factors impacting tourism satisfaction and loyalty, right? So they have objectives, the background, and the hypothesis is written here. What methods they used, independent variable, dependent variables, and explaining results and test, like the test they used, ANOVA, and correlation, regression, okay, and results of the hypothesis. So it's a good work too. Okay, good to read this type of reports. And then we have the data. So I already have the data here, so let me open it. So you can download this data, click on the Tourism Sat data jump and download it and open. Okay, so this is my data. And we have income, we have sex, age, education level, marital status, transportation. We have travel satisfaction, food variety, service quality, word of mouth, and loyalty. So these are the variables we have. Okay. The question is where do you want to start? Checking the type of data we have. Numerical, categorical, numerical, categorical, categorical. And the rest are numerical. Okay. Maybe we can start some graphs. Go to legacy chart. You can also use the graph builder, and let's say I want to see if there is a difference between male and female. I want to use a bar chart. Okay, that's my bar chart, so you can see we have more females. Bar, label by value. Okay, so we can also graph a pie chart going to the same graph legacy chart. Just change this to pie chart, and let's this time graph a pie chart for education level and click OK. So same as the previous one, you can add labels, you can edit colors and make changes that you need. And right click on the chart, go to pie and click on label. You can put percent or value. Change the position of the legend, or go to setting and modify how the legend looks like. We have some color settings here. Also, you can right click and click on the change to, for example, you can change this to a bar chart as well. Remember that data analysis is like art, so I don't expect to see reports to be exactly the same. You may approach this data from different perspectives. Well, next we can work on some descriptive statistics. So go to Analyze and Distribution and check the distribution of our data. For example, I show it for a few of these, but you can do for all, or you can select which ones. But response variable is very important, so that's one of the things that I check how the data look like. This is supposed to be vertical, and so you can see that majority of our respondents had answers on satisfaction 3 or more. That's a good thing. You can check tabulate, analyze tabulate. This is mostly for categorical variables, specific variable, like let's check if male and female are different. So when you just drag and drop sex here, it separates male and female and shows how many of them we have. Now if you want to see if there is a difference in average satisfaction here, so you have to change that sum to average and drag drop mean on sum. That will give you, in average, female travelers are having higher satisfaction level. You can do the same for example, cleanliness. You can do the same for transportation. You can do the same for education level down here. All same information will be provided here, okay? And compare the groups here. Then that's where your hypothesis comes from. So you can write your hypothesis if groups have difference in their response. So next would be analysis of relations. So let's go to fit model. So for multiple regression, so if you want to run a multiple regression, the first thing we want to check is linearity of the relation. So go to Analyze and Analyze Specialized Modeling. Analyze and multivariate. And under multivariate, put all of the variables you want. Specifically, I can say that traveler satisfaction, which is your response variable, goes on top. And then let's have a few of these. Let's have food variety and service quality. You can do for all, okay? And let's have, for example, cleanliness as well. We're looking at linearity of these relations. You can also add other response variables like word of mouth and loyalty as well to see all of associations at the same time. I'm just showing you, demonstrating of how this could work for you, okay? How your analysis can be done. Click OK, and so we have some of these associations here. So low association with the food variety. There's some association with the service quality, some association here quite linear with the cleanliness. There's some outliers out there. We can always check if those outliers are significantly or negatively affecting our results, our multiple regression results. And we can click on the red triangle, click on correlation probability. So these are the correlation values. You can see service quality and cleanliness are kind of moderate and strong relation, and you can see that they are significantly affecting. Even food variety at this point is significant. Okay. So we can check linearities here. And then you can check outliers using outlier analysis. On the red triangle of multivariate, click on outlier analysis. You can use Mahal test or jackknife test. They both calculate the distance from the center of data, that after that distance, after that borderline, any point can be considered as an outlier to be removed. Click, and that's our upper control limit of 3.07. So what's the main reason I use Mahal test, Mahalanobis test, is that Mahalanobis test uses a formula that is actually sensitive to sample size and number of variables, and that make it more accurate. So adjusts that upper control limit based on sample size rather than just calculating this standard deviation. So there are different ways you can approach outliers. You can select a few and remove them. So select, for example, this one seems to be very far from others. You can see where it stands, right click, and can row hide and exclude. We'll exclude this case from our analysis. Or you can select a group of them and then right click on one and exclude all of those selected at the same time. Okay. So at this point we don't want to do that. We want to check our multiple regression first and see how the result looks like. So go to Analyze, Fit Model, and let's select Traveler Satisfaction as response. Food variety, transportation, cleanliness. Of course, I can choose income and age, and not the word of mouth and loyalty because they are response variables for traveler satisfaction. And at this point, I want this to be minimal report because I want everything to be one page. Run. So under parameter estimates, right? What we have is we don't have some significance here. So let's remove the ones that are not significant. Remove. You can see that transportation and cleanliness became significant at this point. Let's remove another one. Yeah. So intercept doesn't have to be significant in multiple regression. Remember that. In simple regression model, it has to be significant, but in multiple regression, it doesn't have to be because this combination of other variables, not one explanatory variable. So things we look here first is the p-values. The p-values look good. Then we look at the r-square. It's 40% of the variation of parallel satisfaction is explained by transportation and cleanliness, the variation in transportation and cleanliness. And adjusted r-square, of course, takes into account the sample size and takes into account how many independent variables or explanatory variables we have. And that's, you can say, more accurate. F value or F test, F ratio, the p-value of F ratio is important to us. Analysis of variance. This shows that the model as a whole is significant, so the model is fit to data. And we can also run some additional analysis here with triangle. Let's check a few assumptions. So remember, checking assumptions is very important for this report. That's how I know if your model is a reliable model or not. So you need to explain and make sure I understand you consider this model as reliable or not. So go to row diagnostics, and by clicking on, for example, plot residuals by normal quantile, this will check normality of residuals, for example. They're pretty much out of, so we don't have normality of residuals here. That seems there's some problem. Probably looking at those response that they're out of the linear relation, those are actually negatively affecting our results. So we can remove them, of course. And then we can also go to row diagnostics and check plot residual by predicted. You can check actual by predicted as well. You can also check independence of data, then Watson test of residuals. Are residuals independent? Red triangle, p-value. P-value is showing that there's some problem here regarding independence of residuals are not independent. Of course, if you use more variables, all the variables, your model will be a better model. And make sure you work on the outliers too. Remove some outliers and see how this situation will change. Okay, I've actually done that myself before, so I know that by removing few outliers, by adding more variables into analysis of your multiple regression, you will get a better result. And let's check residual by predicted. It's right here. For similarity of variances, you can see we have like a triangle here. And by removing some of these outliers, you can definitely have a better better model. Okay, and then you can save your residuals. The residuals are added at the end of your data set. Residuals are added here. Negative ones are the points below the regression line, and positive ones on top of the regression line. You can also find the confidence intervals around your model. So right click here, columns, lower and upper confidence level, and you want to know if you have collinearity problem. Right click, column, VIF. So the VIFs are 1, so you don't have collinearity problem in your model. If there are more than 10, that's or close to 10, that would be warning that probably two of independent variables are highly correlated and significantly affecting our results. And that's not happening at this point. Of course, if you chose more variables, that would change results. Okay, and you are expected to use all the data. And so if you click on individual confidence interval, first you can click on predicted values. You click on predicted values. The predicted values using the formula, the model that we have, will be added at the end here. This value 3.9 is 3.3 is the actual average of answers. Using the regression model, macro regression model we just created, if you plug in the same numbers for example, cleanliness and transportation, you plug it into the formula, you will get the predicted values. Now, the confidence level around that predicted value can be achieved by going here. So go to results, click on red triangle, save column, go down here, individual confidence limit formula. Individual confidence limit formula. That gives you the upper and lower bound around that prediction formula. So between 2 to 5. Of course, we can limit them if they are out of our options. So we don't have 5.5 option here, right? So they can hit 5. And down here is limited down to 1. So we can say it's 2.3 is okay, right? Below 1, you can push it to 1. Alright, then we also check this one, right? We checked almost all the things we need. We checked the linearity too. Remember, after removing outliers, if you decide to remove outliers, after removing outliers, you need to run all these analysis from the beginning so that you can see the effect of changes. Okay. So that was for multiple regression. You can definitely also run some analysis for ANOVA test and ANCOVA test. So for t-test, ANOVA's t-test, let's do with male and female and based on, for example, traveler satisfaction or transportation. Click OK. And if you have similar variances, you can use a pooled t-test. In this case, I'm using t-test. And if your hypothesis is there is a significant difference between male and female regarding traveler satisfaction, if that was your hypothesis, and null hypothesis, there's no significant difference, you would use the absolute value, the p-value of this absolute t, which is significant. So we reject HO, and there is a significant difference between male and female regarding traveler satisfaction in this case. You can also add your box plot here, for example, going to the display option and add some box plots. Okay. You can do the same with the other categorical variables. If you have more than 2 groups, definitely use ANOVA. And you also can use Analyze Fit Model for ANCOVA analysis. Really quick, show you some analysis we can run. You can select sex and, for example, one of those significant, like cleanliness, and go to macros, full factorial. So the combination of sex and cleanliness is also here, and we want to see it with traveler satisfaction. Click on, so 2 by 2 you can actually check. So you can see that cleanliness for male and female. So male is represented by blue line, female is represented by the red line. They have almost the same direction. There are differences, of course. We can see if there is no significant difference between these two, they would be exactly on the same line. If there is a significant difference, they have different directions. So here they have different directions, but they're not that far. So is there significant? So what we are interested here in our regression results is that you can see that for sex, female is significant, cleanliness is significant. The combination of sex and cleanliness is not significant. And we can check that also in the effect test. You can see that the combination of the two variables is not significant. Okay, so we don't keep sex times cleanliness in our formula here. Of course, you can do further analysis on ANCOVA test. You have learned that in class, so I won't explain all of it here. You can also run ANOVA test, and so in this case we don't have a logistic response variable or logic response variable, so logistic regression is not the case. You don't really need a chi-square test for analysis between two categorical variables here, but you feel free to add any analysis that you feel it has some relations to providing some solutions to managers regarding traveler satisfaction and loyalty. So remember that you can use the fit y by x for separate traveler satisfaction to, for example, loyalty, and 1 time to word of mouth. Since linear, we have some outliers. You can take care of those outliers. Click on the fit line, report this regression line. They're both significant, and R square is not that much. It's at 0.21. Something I forgot to say about the multiple regression model was, in a multiple regression model, the equation of the model, of course, is not written, but when you get the equation, the slope of your independent variable 1, independent variable 2, the one that is higher is the one that you use, or you suggest your managers to use for controlling or for increasing traveler satisfaction. In this case, traveler satisfaction is independent variable. It's going to influence loyalty.